What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Welcome to Think About It with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good day, and thank you for joining me on Think About It with Jaden Miller. This is your host, Jaden Miller. Hope you guys are doing well. Before I begin, or like I begin every episode, please check out my website at www.jadenmiller.com. Jaden Miller is spelled JAYDENMILLER.com. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Audrey, Podvine, Amazon, and so many more. Again, it's good to be with you guys today. And so like I've been doing for the last few weeks, let me just kind of run down the headlines of what's going on in the world. Well, of course, Russia is still up to its stupidity in its war against the Ukraine. And if I was Vladimir Putin, I'd be really ashamed that my Goliath of a nation is still trying to beat up on a David of Ukraine, but yet the Ukraine keeps fighting back. And so what Vladimir Putin thought could be over with in a matter of weeks has now extended into quite a many months. So he should be very, very ashamed of himself. What else is going on in the world? Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is running for United States Senate in Georgia, and he has been under fire because he is one that believes that abortion should be banned in the United States, and I mean throughout, not only at the federal level but at the state levels too. But yet it appears as though Herschel Walker may have paid for an abortion at some point in his life. Now, he denies it, but yet he acknowledges sending $700 to the woman that had at least one of his children for an abortion. And so these are some allegations that he has been fighting for the last few weeks. I'll just say this. He just had a debate with his Democratic opponent last week. And, you know, I'll just say that the Republicans made a huge mistake in choosing Herschel Walker. He is just an ignoramus of a candidate. I'm sorry. I just have to tell the truth. They certainly could have found someone so much better than Herschel Walker with so little things, you know, that are keep crap coming up out of his past. I mean, you know, just absolutely ridiculous. And his own son even comes out against him. So I don't know. I don't think that was a great choice on behalf of the Republicans for the Senate campaign in Georgia. Well, if you like ketchup and other sauces that have tomatoes in them, get ready to spend more for them, because there is a water crisis and farmers are dealing with a lot of drought, specifically in California. And it used to cost about $3,500 an acre to produce tomatoes, but now it's $5,000. So inflation, I mean, all of these things are causing prices to go up. And so tomatoes are the type of crop that needs a lot of water. They need water to grow, but then they also need water to be clean before being cooked. So we may be paying a little bit more for tomatoes and ketchup and those things coming up. If you have not been paying attention, I don't know where you've been, But weather has been changing throughout the United States. So here in my great city of Phoenix, here we are now finally in the 80s after a hot summer of 100 degrees, I think almost every day, if not every day, from sometime in May through maybe the first week in October. So really happy to see some moderating temperatures here. But from what I understand, that there's some frost and freeze warnings that are in store tomorrow morning, which would be Tuesday, in some of the central areas of the country. So those of you that are growing things, plants, flowers, that kind of thing, you may want to bring them in, or at least be very, very careful with those. All right. So today I just wanted to delve into this subject really, really quickly. And that is that shootings of police officers are on the rise. And this is very, very troubling. It's very, very troubling for certainly police chiefs. The FBI has chimed in, and certainly it should be something that we as citizens be concerned about as well. And so I'll just go back to last week during a 24-hour period that ended last Wednesday. Several police officers from departments across the country were shot in the line of duty. In Decatur, Illinois, 2 police officers were shot while making a traffic stop. An officer shot and killed the suspect. In Philadelphia, 3 SWAT team members were shot while executing a warrant. An officer shot and killed the subject. And in Bristol, Connecticut, 3 officers were shot, 2 fatally, in an ambush attack while responding to a domestic disturbance report. And the surviving officer shot and killed the subject. The thing about the subject is that he fired over 80 rounds at police. And again, this happened in Bristol, Connecticut. And so in all, from Monday through Friday last week, 13 police officers were shot amid a heightened level of violence against law enforcement officers this year. From the beginning of the year through September 30th, there were 252 officers shot, including 50 fatally, according to the Fraternal Order of Police. The number of officers shot represents a 5% increase over the same period in 2021 and a 6% increase over the same period in 2020. Last year, 73 officers were intentionally killed in the line of duty, the most since the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001. Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw says that she's outraged and disgusted. She says that she's wondering where the level of outrage and upset is outside of the law enforcement community. Commissioner Outlaw says that right now things are wrong because the level of violence that we're seeing against our law enforcement officers is just beyond outrageous. The increased violence against police officers in the last few years mirrors the broad rise in shootings and violence in the United States since 2020. Even in Mississippi, this was last Tuesday, Greenville detective Maisha Stewart was killed during what's been described as a big shootout between 2 males. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is leading the probe into her death. It appears as though the person that shot and killed Detective Stewart was also wounded, but he was wounded after he shot someone else in the head and a woman in the foot during this really, really horrible situation. She was the 3rd police officer killed in Mississippi this year. There was one officer that was killed during a traffic when he was struck by a car during a traffic altercation. And then in June of this year, Officer Kenneth Kroom with the Meridian Police Department in Mississippi was responding to a domestic violence call when he was fatally shot. The person that shot the 3 officers in Bristol, Connecticut, was a 35-year-old named Nicholas Butcher. And it says that his brother, 32-year-old Nathan Butcher, was also at the scene. Officers went to the side door of the house and spoke to Nathan Butcher. As Nathan Butcher stepped out, gunfire erupted. Nicholas Butcher fired well over 80 rounds, attacking the officers from behind, fatally shooting both Sergeant DeMonte and Officer Hamsey of the Bristol, Connecticut Police Department. Just a tragic thing to happen. And, a day after these officers were killed, the Las Vegas officer Trong Thai was killed while responding to a domestic disturbance call last week, Thursday. Not only was Officer Thai a protector of our community, he was a father, a son, and a brother, the Las Vegas Police Protective Association said. And so, what is going on, in the United States, where those individuals that, have been sworn to protect us are now being shot and killed in the line of duty? It's always shocking to me. And if you guys didn't know, the number of police officers killed in the line of duty certainly is going up, and that's sad. Usually they are in response to police officers responding to domestic situations or traffic violations. Okay, I mean, those are the incidents that police officers have to be the most wary of. Okay, when we talk about domestic situations, I mean, it can be between domestic partners, or it can be a husband and wife or what have you. But as soon as the police arrive, that anger that they may have at each other then gets turned in another direction, and it's really, really sad. If you've never been to a police funeral, and unfortunately, as a former retired member of law enforcement, I have been to a number of them. And to see, little children of these police officers that now will be growing up without a mom or without a dad. In the case of Detective Maisha Stewart in Mississippi, she leaves behind a 3-year-old child. And so, some of these individuals had wives, in the case of Officer Thai, he, was a father, he had parents. And so it's always really, really tragic. And I know that there are people out there that have issues with the police. I understand that. Okay. But the majority of police officers, and I want to make this very, very clear, the majority of police officers that are on the street every day, they took the job because they really, truly want to serve and protect the community. And I really, truly believe that. And now, as an African American, I've seen police at their best and I've seen policing at its worst. Okay. But there is still nothing that could ever change my mind in terms of the belief that I have that the majority of police officers really are out there serving and protecting, because I've seen it. Okay. I've seen it so many times in many, many different areas throughout the country. Okay. There's always going to be those knuckleheads that somehow or another were able to slip through, a hiring process and become police officers. And they are a little overexcited and a little belligerent or overly belligerent. And some of them are racist, absolutely. But the good majority of police officers really are out in communities trying to serve and protect. And they're doing so being handcuffed in some ways by politicians to some degree, by the law or by lawyers to another degree. And so that then comes back on people that live in communities, especially communities that have a higher incident of violent crime or crime in general. And it's because the police officers aren't able to do their jobs effectively because then there are individuals that don't like how a police officer spoke to a criminal, or they may not like how the officer put the handcuffs on him, or there's always these situations where someone records the police and they only record the police officer defending themselves or trying to take the person into custody, but not what happened prior to that, when the police officer almost got killed, trying to take this person into custody. And so it looks like, the police are ganging up on somebody. People like to criticize, well, why does it take 5 or 6 police officers for one person? Well, I'll ask you a question, okay? Try putting on a coat or the boots of a 2-year-old child that's squirming. See how difficult that is? Do you even know? It's very, very difficult, because you're trying not to hurt the child, okay? But the child is squirming and doesn't want the boots on or doesn't want the coats on. It's very, very difficult. And so what you have to do is you have to use a little bit more, and I use this term lightly, force, okay? In other words, what you have to do is you have to hold the child more steady. You have to talk to them to get them to allow you to put it on without hurting them. Okay. Well, it's the same situation. So you would rather have 5 police officers trying to take a person into custody, because the likelihood, especially if it's done correctly, of that person getting hurt is less likely. Okay, because there's 5 individuals. They're all trying to handle one extremity or another, and simply trying to talk to the person to take the person into custody. People don't understand that a lot of criminals do not want to go to jail, okay? Just like the little 2-year-old does not want the coat put on. Well, a lot of criminals do not want to go to jail, and so they will fight, okay? They will struggle, okay? And police officers have to use defensive tactics in order to take the person into custody. Unfortunately, there are people out there that are faint-hearted and think that the police are being mean and they're being abusive and that kind of thing. No, it's not mean and abusive if you're trying to take into custody someone that just shot and killed someone or just beat someone and they're struggling with you. You have to use like for like. You have to use force in order to take the person into custody. It's just that simple, okay? So, these people out here that want to defund the police, without thinking like, okay, well, then who's going to come to my house and save me if someone's breaking in? The police, not the milkman, not the bus driver, okay? And so, in my opinion, we really ought to support our police and our police departments a whole lot more than we do. Some of us are so, we get upset because, when we're traveling too fast on a highway or on a city street, or we clip a stop sign by not stopping at it, or some other traffic violation, and then we receive a ticket, the first thing we want to complain about, well, how come the police aren't out doing something else? How come the police aren't out solving crimes or locking up the people down the street? Well, they would be if you wouldn't speed. They would be if you would not violate traffic laws, right? Okay, so then they would have the opportunity to do those things. So a lot of times people want to take, what they've done, which may be wrong or against the law or against the traffic ordinance, and then shift the blame back over to the police officers for simply doing their job. So we wonder why then police officers don't get as much community support, or why people feel that it's real easy to take pot shots at the police or to kill them. Killing is permanent, okay? Killing is devastating. Killing is traumatic for the survivors, okay? And so again, I think it's incumbent upon us to give respect, to give honor to those that go out and do something that a lot of people do not want to do. A lot of people do not want to go to a crime scene because they are hideous. Okay, I've gone to crime scenes and I've seen stuff that 20 years later, I still remember like it happened yesterday. It does not leave. Okay, you remember these things. All right, they stay with you. So again, we just have to really be more cognizant of what's going on in our communities, and certainly be more willing to assist our police officers any way that we can. You know, the Bristol police chief in Connecticut became visibly emotional describing his 2 officers that were killed. He said that, and I'll quote, "We lost 2 exceptional Bristol police officers, and a 3rd was seriously injured as a result of senseless violence." One of those officers was a school resource officer at 2 Bristol schools and an advisor for the Bristol Police Explorer Cadet Program. Throughout his career, he has received several awards, including the Silver Star, Officer of the Month, and co-recipient for Officer of the Year in 2019. He was survived by his wife and 2 children, and 1 on the way. See what I mean? You know, then there was Officer Hamsey. He was 34. He was also an advisor for the Police Explorer Cadet Program. Throughout his career, he received numerous letters of commendation and recognition. He is survived by his survived by his wife, his parents, and his 2 sisters. See, these officers leave behind family members. They leave them behind. And it's so tragic and so horrible when these things happen. But it's even more tragic when there's so much silence from the community when these things happen. Whenever a police officer gets killed or injured in the line of duty, the community ought to rise up in support, you know, because again, these are the individuals that we entrust. These are the few that decided to do what we don't want to do, or what you all don't want to do, because I did it, but you know, that people don't want to do, which is go to domestic situations and make traffic stops and investigate horrible crimes and go to scenes where people have been sexually assaulted, men, women, and children, or deal with burglaries and robberies and all of these other things that police officers have to deal with. And so I'll end on that note. Let's just be more cognizant of what's going on in our communities. Violent crime is up in some areas, okay? And our police officers, unfortunately, you know, are being attacked in areas that they just shouldn't be attacked. So ugly things are happening out there to our police officers. So again, let's give honor to those men and women that go out and do the jobs every single day, knowing that they may not come home at the end of their shift. All right, this is Jaden Miller. Check out my website at www.jadenmiller.com. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. All right, thanks again, guys, for joining me on Think About It with Jaden Miller. I don't even know my name. Think About It with Jaden Miller. And I want you to think about what I talked about today. You know, I think it's really, really sad, you know, for police officers to get killed in the line of duty. It's just horrible. All right, I will see you on the next episode of Think About It with Jaden Miller. Have a fabulous, fabulous day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.